How many of us love creating images that we hang up on the wall? We may earn our living elsewhere, maybe in other genres, but we love going out into nature simply for the joy of it. What if we could make photographing nature into an income stream? How exciting would that be? At CICE 2025, Jim Brompton is going to reveal the secrets of creative and the business aspect of fine art photography. Jim started his fine art, landscape and nature photography way back in 1978. He has since then been published in several magazines and received many awards, including the prestigious Master in Fine Art and recently the Master in Nature from Master Photographer International. For several years, he's owned his own print lab and is also a Canadian brand ambassador for Kase filters. Jim, we are so thrilled to have you as a speaker at CICE 2025. Please do introduce yourself and tell us who the man behind the camera is.
Thank you very much, Manpreet. I don't have a huge long story about myself. I'm self-taught photographer. I grew in love with photography in high school, and so following leaving high school and working for a while, it was a short number of years. I decided in the late '70s to set up my own photography business, and it was the direction of the business at that time was a little different than it is now. But it included things like selling images to calendar companies, school textbooks, publications for the outdoors, magazine companies. So I did that for a long time, and I soon learned that there was other sides to that developed different income streams for me. Rather than just going out into nature and shooting wildlife and selling to those publication companies. So I switched gears a bit and I went into fine art landscape photography, and I've never really looked back since then. I just love the aspect of traveling worldwide, capturing my images, either selling them myself or through galleries or online, and having people collect my work and buy my images repeatedly has been a win-win for me.
Now, I know that you have been a business owner for a number of years now, since '78. But how did photography initially come into your life?
Well, it actually started in high school, like I mentioned, and I picked up a camera, and I loved the fact that I could be a creator. Out in the field and taking images, and then waiting the 2 or 3 weeks it took to develop the film, and then having a look at it. And I made a lot of notes back in those days so that I could see when I got my slides back or my positives back, that I could see whether I failed or succeeded with what I had done in the field. And so early on, it was just something that drove me, and I'm very passionate about photography, and I have since been doing lots of education and teaching, and I absolutely love to teach landscape photography. So it's just a full circle for me.
And you get to travel to such amazing locations on work.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us
Yeah.
about a memorable trip that you've had recently.
Well, we just got back from Portugal. So we're in Portugal for 29 days. And one of my specialties in fine art landscape is waterscapes. I love to shoot oceans and large waves, and I developed a technique 25 years ago with the different settings and the different speeds of the wave, I can actually create in the camera an image that looks like it's painted. So I apply that to different areas of the world: New Zealand, Australia, Fiji, the Hawaiian Islands, Mexico, the Caribbean. And so I was always on my bucket list was to go to Portugal, because Nazaré has the largest waves in the world. So you can't imagine how big the grin was on my face when I was standing on the beach shooting this stuff just 3 weeks ago. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I've seen some of your wave images, and they are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and they're all created in the camera, which is really important to me because I'm a traditionalist when it comes to that. So when I market my images through galleries and art shows and things alike, I always talk to the potential buyers about the fact that it's not altered by Photoshop. The texture and the creation of the wave in the camera was created because of the shutter speed and the aperture that was used and the filters that were used on the front of the lens.
And you're also a master at stitching images in large prints, right?
Yes, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I use a lot of larger lenses too
Hmm.
for compression on my multi stitches and shoot pretty much everything vertical. And I'll have double row or single row multi stitches, and that goes back to the time when I owned the print shop, and so I could print my canvases any length that I wanted. So I was able to satisfy my customers, my clients, the corporate offices. I could put in their boardroom a 12, 15, 18-foot piece, single piece canvas. If I needed to, I could stretch it right in their boardroom if we couldn't get it in the elevator or whatever the case may be. So there's ways around all of that, but it's all about marketing, and it's about having an image that people want to buy. And so the images have to be truly remarkable. And when I do some of my larger solo shows, or sometimes I'll invite other photographers to join me as a guest, I'll fill a 3,000 square foot building with fine art. And then I watch the people walk through the door, and I watch them stand and look in awe at the images, because they represent nature at its finest, in that sense that it's been recreated the way it was. So people stand there and they look at it and they go, wow, I can hardly believe this is a photograph. But the stitching part of it is so important, because you can eliminate that fall off of the lenses. And when you eliminate that fall off and you put only the sharpest part of every image together, it creates a wonderful single printable file that is that has no defects in it. It's just so super sharp. Ladybugs on trees, they show up so nicely. It's quite remarkable in that sense.
You are also a Kase ambassador, a Canadian Kase ambassador for Kase filters. How did that happen? How did you become a Kase ambassador?
Well, I've always shot with filters all my life, so a lot of
Mhm.
my publications and a lot of the articles that I've wrote over the years, I speak to that. I speak to the fact that I use filters on the front of my lenses, and that got their attention. And so then they actually reached out to me and wanted to know if I'd be interested. And I had never shot the product, so I said that I wouldn't be until I actually tested the product, because that's who I am. I won't endorse something that I don't believe in. And so we came to an agreement. They sent me some filters so I could try them, and I absolutely fell in love with them. I just have never seen anything as good as that. And I've shot some really high-end filter glass in my lifetime, and I've shot some really bad stuff too that you just basically flip it away because the color cast is so bad, or it's degraded the image so poorly. But the Kase filters the glass is optical. The coating on it is exceptional. The fact that it's magnetic and it's so simple to use, it just became a no-brainer to me, for me to be part of their team. So it's coming up 5 years now, and I do presentations and workshops all over North America, and to different camera clubs all over, mostly in Canada. Lots of one-on-one and lots of educational stuff I do.
Now, I'm sure we'll hear much more about it at CICE.
Yes, you will.
But your talk is going to be on creative and business aspect of fine art
It is.
photography.
Yep.
And that is so important, and that information is so rare to come by. I don't want to take the thunder away from your talk, but if you could just give a little teaser to say what your talk is going to be about and what a photographer would miss out if they're not there.
Well, it's all about different income streams. So if you're going to become a fine art landscape photographer, you have to figure out a way to make enough money to pay your bills and to support your family and to travel So, because travel is a huge part of landscape photography, whether it's down the road 50 miles or 500 miles by car or in an airplane, it all costs money to do it. So you need that additional income. So my presentation is going to be about different income sources, income streams, and how to trigger them, how to get them going for you. I'm also going to talk about things that I learned in the last 45 years that didn't work, so people don't take those steps and make those mistakes like I did, because they can be costly. And a good example, a really quick example of that would be some of my fine art stuff. I used to frame it all the time, and I'd put a black frame on or a brown frame, or I'd put a green frame on it, and then the person wants to buy the print but doesn't want to buy the frame. So for that reason, I quit framing things completely, and I went to just straight stretched canvases. I'm going to be talking about income streams through galleries and how important galleries are, and how to make that contact so that galleries will pay attention to you. That is really, really difficult part of the business. But if once you get your foot in the door into that, then you'll become very successful, because the gallery owners talk amongst themselves. And next thing you know, you're not in one gallery anymore, you're in 20 galleries. And so wall space is so valuable. And I'm going to talk about that, and how you need to respect. If somebody's prepared to give you a piece of their wall, you have to be honored, because there's 1,000 people behind you in line waiting for you. For that spot on that wall. So those are the kind of things I'm going to talk about. Basically making a living as a fine art landscape photographer and making enough money to pay your bills. If you have enough different income streams as a fine art landscape photographer, it doesn't matter if this one slows down a little bit, this one might pick up. And so then your income can be relatively level, and you can go on and live a great life as a landscape photographer. I don't think you'll ever be rich. But there's more to life than money, and I'm a big believer in being happy and being in the outdoors, and just being able to say, I can do this. And so that's what I'm going to tell everybody, and I'm going to show them a number of different slides and different tricks, and I'm also even going to talk about my own suppliers as to margins. Let's get those margins so that you make more money on them. And so I'm going to talk about the suppliers you can go to and how you can get better margins.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss it for the world. I mean, I'm already getting excited right now. I want to ask you so many questions, but I know we don't have the time.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I understand. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'll wrap up this by 5 quick rapid fire questions. Okay. One, your
Sure.
scariest photography experience.
Face to face with a black bear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, a photographer whose work inspires you.
Ansel Adams.
The largest you have printed your work.
Well, single image, I've done 18 feet, 18 and a half feet, I think it was. But I'll do like a triptych or something like that, and it'll be 30 or 40 feet long. You can do,
Wow.
310s or 312s or whatever.
Three things in
Yeah.
your camera bag that you cannot be without.
My tripod, I know it's not in my bag, but it's number one. As a landscape photographer, you need a great foundation.
Mhm.
And that's number one in my bag. And when I do my instructions in my teaching, it's mandatory. So everybody has to have one. Yeah. And then I like wireless remotes or wired remotes. It's all about keeping cameras nice and still, because when you start printing really big, you can start seeing if there's any movement or shake.
And the third?
Oh, the third one. What would I have to say? Good glass.
Good glass.
Just good glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the third most important thing for sure is good glass. I mean,
I know you've been to so many places, but is there a place that you'd still love to go?
the island of Kauai, Hawaii is probably my favorite in November, December, January, February. Quite often I'll go for a couple months at a time, and I'll shoot every day, and I get to shoot waves in the afternoon. I get to shoot sunrise in the morning. I get to shoot sunsets in at night, and so I love Hawaii. It's the temperature's perfect for me, and there's a lot of places in the world that I've been and I've photographed that are beautiful as well. But Hawaii, I think, because I've been there so many times, I feel so comfortable there that it's almost like home to
Mm,
me. So
nice.
yeah.
Well, any last thing you'd like to say to somebody who's still thinking about coming to the conference?
Well, I'll try to keep it within my timeline that I'm given because I have so much information to share. But I will work very hard to stay on time. I will say that. And so bring a notepad and a pen or a pencil. There's going to be lots of notes, and make sure you have your camera with you so you can take some shots of some of the slides that I'm going to be presenting because it's going to have information on it you'll be able to use later on. So. That's
Well,
about all I have to say, I guess.
well, thank you so much, Jim. This has been such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. I'm looking so forward to being at the conference.
So am I.